Hello guys. My name is Jake and I live in Scotland today. I'll share with you a horrible incident of my life. This incident is about my wife's infidelity, which has the worst impact on my personality. I had such a friendly-based nature, but my wife's infidelity changed me a lot. I became such a rude person. I hope you'll know my story. And if you get a lesson from my story, then like it and subscribe to my channel. I belonged to a rich family from my childhood. I used to get everything that I liked. If I like something, it became my antithesis. I have to get it. My wife's name was Emma and we were very good friends since childhood. She was my aunt's daughter and lived near my house. We both went to school together, played together and were very close to each other. She was very good friend of mine. She was a very good friend of mine and I loved spending time with her. Every time spent with her was precious to me. I loved Emma so much since childhood that once a boy tried to tease her, I tore the boy's head off in anger because Emma cried because of that boy. I could not bear the tears in the eyes of Emma because she complained to me about this boy and I tore the boy's head off. I was very quick-tempered. I got angry very quickly and I used to hurt anyone because of my anger. But when I grew up, I realized that Emma was afraid of my anger and she did not like this habit of mine. So I changed my habit for her. Apart from this one bad habit, my personality was very friendly. I changed this bad habit for the sake of Emma because I loved her so much and did not want to ever make angry on her. Even by mistake, the time passed. And we both grew up. My love for Emma also increased. Earlier, I considered her my good friend, but later she became my love and now I wanted to marry her first. Our school was the same and later our college was also the same. When I grew up, I felt like Emma was moving away from me. She wanted to make other friends, but I did not want to be away from Emma and never wanted. She make boyfriends fearing that she would develop a crush on another boy. And I always wanted to be close to her as I considered her as my friend. Emma also considered me as one of her good friends and used to share everything with me. She considered me her friend but she did not know if I liked her. But I know one thing, that she did not like me. In my college days, the handsome boy became a very good friend of Emma. She spent a lot of time with him, but I did not want to. But he was very handsome and also belonged to a good family. He has all the qualities for which he can be liked. Whenever I saw Emma with this boy, I felt jealous. She still used to talk to me about this boy. I started to fear that I might lose Emma. Every evening, Emma came to my house. She asked my mother about me. My mother told her that I am in the room. She came to the door and knocked on the door. I said, "Come in." She hugged me and started crying that my heart started panicking. When I asked her why she was crying, she told me that she used to love a boy today. She expressed her love to that boy. And the boy said that he loves someone else. This is very sad for Emma, the thing that broke her heart, and she started crying. I was very good friends. So she came to me first and she told me all about it and she told me about all this. I was very upset. I decided I'll now tell her about my feelings. I love her if I did not express about my love. Maybe she fell in love with someone else and I did not want to lose her. I decided to propose her. The following week, I called her at a very beautiful place near our house and talked to her when I realized that she had forgotten that boy that she loved and her grief had subsided. So I proposed to her in a very beautiful way. When she came to hear my proposal, she left. I felt like she wanted to say something to me but could not say it, as if the words were not coming out of her mouth. She left after listening to me. A whole week passed after that day. And Emma did not answer me neither. She used to meet me in college, nor did she answer any of my phone calls, my proposing to her and telling her about my love. I made the mistake of making her angry with me and I felt like I lost her friendship too. I sent a voice note to Emma and told her that if she doesn't like my proposal, she can reject it, but it won't affect our friendship and we will remain friends. As before then, the next day, Emma came to my house and said she also likes me. But as a friend, I kept quiet listening to her and I had no courage to say anything. But one surprising thing that she said to me, she wanted some time because she did not want to lose me. I became shocked in one moment and very happy for a second moment. I said, I will accept your decision. You can take as much as time you want, and whatever your decision is, I will accept it. I doubt you will refuse me, but it will not affect our friendship hearing this. She hugged me and left. After a month of that incident, I felt that Emma started liking me. Her attitude changed. Before she treated me as a friend. But now her behavior towards me had been changed. The difference was noticeable. After a month, Emma accepted my proposal and we got married after 2 years of relationship. Life after marriage seemed to be beautiful. The love between us was just like as it should be between two loving people. Emma took care of me very much and I loved her very much. Then we had a very sweet daughter born in our house after her birth. Our love even grew more. Now I never thought of living without my wife. After completing my studies, I started taking over my father's business under my guidance. The business was growing 4 times every day, being busy with business. Most of the time I was not able to focus much on my personal life. For some time, I was away from my personal life, and maybe it was my big mistake. I was away from my wife and daughter for some time for development of my business and was not able to spend much time with them. Emma started to think that my love for her diminished, but this was not true. But it doesn't mean my wife started being unfaithful to me. One night, I was sitting in my study room doing some work. My wife came to my room and was sitting next to me for some time. I felt that she wanted to talk to me. I asked, "Well, tell me, what do you want to talk about?" My wife replied, "I have to go out of town on a trip with a group of my friends." But there was a moment of silence because we had a little daughter. Her care was most important. My wife said on my silence, "If you're thinking about our daughter, she will go with me and I will take care of her. There, do not worry. And I am afraid of this daily routine and you have absolutely no time for me. So I want to go on a trip with my friends. I can feel better and have some peace of mind." I heard and understood what she was saying. She was right. I did not have time for her at all, and it was going on for a long time. I could not spend much time with her and she was at home a lot. She used to get bored, so she had to go out and do something to make her feel better. I accepted her request and she went on a trip for 2 weeks. I missed my wife and daughter so much during these 2 weeks, and I never felt their presence as much as I missed them when they were gone. I had thought that when she came back, I would spend as much time as possible with her. When my wife came back home, her attitude had changed. She was not giving me much time. It was like her mind was left on that trip. What her mind was on. She was not concentrating on anything. I thought maybe it was because she had gone away from home after a long time and spent some time outside. So it was a natural process and it was reflected in her personality. But the facts were opposite. It was very scary, which destroyed my life. I thought it would be fine for the next few days, but it did not happen. The attitude towards me was changing continuously. She did not look like my wife, Emma. It seemed that ever since she came back, the Emma whom I loved, who was my wife, has gone somewhere. And this girl who came back is someone else. There was a big difference in her behavior. One night I was sleeping in my bed when I suddenly heard the sound of my wife crying. My wife was not in bed. She was turning on the balcony talking to someone on the phone. She was speaking in a low voice. But because of the silence of the night, her voice was echoing, which made me realize that she was talking to someone on the phone and she had been crying. But I could not really hear what was going on. I felt like she was saying, "Please don't tell my secret to anybody." I was scared to hear what was going on. Felt like this. My wife was doing something which was very, very scary for me. Her calling at night was not the only thing which happened that night after that. She often used to talk to someone on the phone at night. She isn't giving me much time while I came home early to spend time with her and my daughter during those days. But the same effort was not coming from her. She was also not even paying attention to her daughter. Another significant change in her was that earlier, she used to share everything about her life with me. There was no incident I did not know about her, and she used to talk to someone at night, but she was not mentioning anything to me. This was very worried for me. My life has started staying out of the house most of the times whenever I used to come home early and she was never at home. When I asked her, the maid, I found out that she was left soon to meet someone after I went to the office. I was so fed up with her. I was convinced that my wife was deceiving me. I decided to catch my wife red-handed. So I sent a good friend of mine as my personal investigator to find out what she was doing behind my back. The job of my personal investigator was to tell me when, where and who my wife is meeting, and to tell me all these things with evidence. But the surprising thing was he gave me the incorrect information about my wife. He told me something that I already knew while I had sent my friend for this purpose. As a personal investigator who was very intelligent and a very good friend of mine, I did not believe what he said because I knew very well that my wife must be doing something wrong and cheating on me. But this makes me feel my wife is not cheating on me. One day when I called in my home, my maid picked up the phone and I asked about my wife, and she told me that a person had come to meet her and both of them were sitting in the drawing room and talking. When I asked my personal investigator, he told me that today, she also went outside the house to meet her friends in a restaurant and they ate a nice meal. But my wife had not gone out of the house that day. So when I saw the recordings of the camera on the main door of the house, I was surprised to see one thing, that the person who came to my house about whom my maid told me that was none other than my friend whom I had sent a personal investigator. My wife and my personal investigator were cheating on me. So I started spying on my personal investigator too while spying on them. I have noticed that my wife often visited my personal investigator, and he's bothering my wife because whenever my wife talked to someone on the phone at night, and I used to feel like my wife was saying to someone that don't tell my secret to anyone. And I always found my wife upset after coming from that trip. There's another horrible thing was one day my wife visited the flat that belonged to my personal investigator. That was another scary moment for me before I got any concrete proof. One night, my wife did not come home. I got very worried. I asked about her from my maid and found out that she was absent from home since morning. I gave her many phone calls. She did not pick up any of my calls. And as the night was passing, after some time, I received a call from an unknown number and found out that my wife's dead body was laying in a deserted place near my house. For me, it was nothing less than a sudden calamity. My first suspicion was on my personal investigator, and I informed the police about all the facts. The police caught him after 2 days of searching, and he told all the facts to the police. He told me that when my wife went on a trip, she called a call boy in her room and they spent the night together. My personal investigator was a friend of that boy. And he also knew that this woman was my wife. So he made a video of both of them. After that, he started harassing my wife and started blackmailing her for money. He often earns money from her that if she doesn't give him money, he will show me that video. He also often invited my wife in the hotel room to spend time being fed up with all that. My wife decided to tell me the whole truth. And when she told him that she would tell me everything, she got scared and he killed my wife so that everyone would not know his secret. After all that, he received severe punishment according to law and he is still in prison. My wife's one mistake forced her to make many mistakes. She spent last time of her life very hard. I wish she had informed me of the truth. Then maybe she would have been with me today. I would have forgiven her on her infidelity. And even today, I love her so much. My daughter is a sign of her love. I love and care for her so much. The only mistake was that I should have given my time to my wife and daughter while doing my business work, due to which my wife took the wrong step. And after that, she had to